looks like we're still in lockdown. So let's talk about the Queen's Gambit from Netflix. Back to Plots and Points. It's me, James, at long last, returning with more content. So we're going to talk about the Queen's Gambit from Netflix, as I said, from my demon cocoon, where I've been entrapped for the last year, hiding from the deadly virus. So we're back. 2020 was a year where everyone consumed everything that exists on Netflix and other streaming platforms, and I'm no exception to this. And I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of the Queen's Gambit by now. It's a television programme starring Anya Taylor-Joy of horror film fame. I guess she's been in other stuff too. I know her primarily from The Witch, and therefore she is the horror movie girl in my mind. So this was like one of those series that became like a phenomenon overnight when it came out. Like, everybody watched it, so I know like I'm really late to the party on this, and like my opinion now is irrelevant because you've probably already seen it. So I'm just going to tell you why I enjoyed the show, basically, rather than telling you if I think it's worth your time or not, because you probably have had nothing to do for over a year at this point, and therefore have already watched the show and decided if you liked it or not. So let's just jump in. So first of all, let's talk about Anya Taylor-Joy, because she was fantastic in the show. Now, a lot of people that I've heard when we talk about the show, it's become kind of a meme like people want to dunk on her performance now, because they're like, whoa, it was a good performance, but all she really did was this. Across a chessboard. And to be fair, there are a lot of lingering shots of Anya Taylor-Joy looking across a chessboard, which to be fair, okay, I mean, how else can you do it? They're playing chess. There's only so many interesting ways that you can frame a chess confrontation, and I think the stuff that gets lost in all of the memery is really how well Anya portrays the character of Beth Harmon, from going from this young, shy, introverted, weirdo that looks at magic chess pieces on a ceiling, and becomes a more confident adult, who comes out of her shell, becomes more of an extrovert and stuff like that. The transition between the different phases of her life was really well done, and a lot of that is down to her performance. It just is what it is. Another actress probably would have presented a character that had the similar qualities all the way through, because this is a story that spans over a course of many years, so it was important for the performance to carry that sort of development. It's not enough just to see her see the events happen to her and just assume, okay, this is what's going on now. The way she carries herself and the way she talks to people and stuff and delivers her lines, all of that helps solidify the transition for the character. So it was really good. It was really solid. You can contrast this with Thomas Brodie Sangster. I think it's Thomas Brodie Sangster is the name. I might Like, hopefully I'm correct about that. Or the double-barreled names. This is confusing to me. You can contrast that with him, because from the moment we meet him as Benny Watts all the way to the end, like, he's literally the same character. Like, he doesn't get a huge amount of growth in that way. Like, from the first time Beth meets him to the last time Beth meets him, she's a very different person that comes through in the performance, but like, he delivers the same performance throughout. And I guess that's I mean, it's fine. Like, you know, he's not a bad actor. It's just that the character doesn't have the same sort of change over time that Beth does, and that's probably intentional, because, you know, he's a more fully established person when she meets him, so it makes sense. So to complement those performances, you know, comes the set design, the costume design. You know, it was all in a similar vein. Like, there was a good transition from like Beth's style from the beginning to the end, and just like sort of the way that her environment changes and develops to become more of her personality, and that's like one of the things as well. Like, you hear the old adage, show don't tell, and that's one of the things that Queen's Gambit's really good at, is showing the growth in the character, not just through the performance, but in the way that they style Beth. Like, we get like indications early on that she's into like fashion and looking presentable and things. Like, it's a very weird, shallow character trait to pick up on, but like, you get indications at the beginning that she's not happy with the way that she's like, because when you first meet her, like, she's cuts her hair into a dodgy bowl cut and wears sackcloth dresses because she's poor, but then obviously as she becomes more successful and more wealthy as the show goes on, you see her style her hair more elegantly, wear fancier clothes and stuff, and it's not just because she's rich now, but it's like it informs her character, because it's like she's trying to distance herself from who she was in the past. So all of that was really good. We have to talk about the impact that the show had on the world of chess. Like, this was probably the greatest advertisement for chess ever. Like, I think I seem to recall there were like a news article that sign-ups to chess.com increased by like 300 or 3,000% since the show came out. Like, more people than ever before were trying to play chess now, and like, that's like in a real world way, like, that's really cool, because, you know, like, chess is one of those things. It's like all nerd stuff, right? Like, when the Marvel films came out, like, suddenly you know, the cool kids were into superheroes now, and like, you saw Johnny from the frat house, like, he was now wearing a Captain America t-shirt, and like, in a similar way, like, we've now got people that would never have picked up a chessboard. Like, you don't pick up a chessboard, but like, you would never have played chess in their life. Now they're like, okay, I'm gonna learn the openings and I'm gonna be the chess grandmaster. Like, but, you know, and like, it's just kind of cool that like, the way that media can present like special niche interests and hobbies like that can have an effect on the way people engage with those hobbies in the real world. Like, I just think that's really cool, and it made, let's be honest, okay, this show made chess very sexy. And so, like, it just is what it is, okay? Like, they infused chess with like all their sex appeal, and like, oh man, it's so cool. Chess is so cool that there's like these Russian guys that like have secret cabals, and like they all got together, and like, they're gonna they're going to take over the Western world by doing checkmate. Like it's just like the way that chess is presented in it is just it just makes it look cool. There's no other way to describe it. And like I showed that little clip in the transition here of the montage, the chess montage when Beth's in like the US Open tournament, and like ever since Rocky, okay, 1976, when Rocky hit the scene, all sports movies followed the same formula. From then on, like we got Rocky, we got the Karate Kid, we've got the Fighter. It's normally like a fighting sports it normally follows this formula. You know, like it has the template of, you know, the characters, like they're good, but they're not. There's something wrong with them that it just prevents them from being the best. And then there's a montage, and then they learn to be the best through the power of montage. And those kind of stories have always appealed to me. Like I think there's just something like the underdog sports thing. It's just always something that's tickled my brain in a particular way. That's it is inspiring. You know, it is inspiring. And one of the things that the Queen's Gambit does really well, because it isn't a film, because it's a TV show, is it manages to switch between different genres and employ different storytelling tropes all through its run. Like we begin with like this story of like introverted like substance abuse and stuff, and then like there's a good little while you know, in some of the earlier episodes where Beth isn't playing chess, she's just sort of struggling with life and things. And then only about the midpoint of the series does it become like this underdog sports tale, because we don't get introduced to Borgov, the Russian chess robot android. He's obviously human, but like the way they present him is kind of like an android. But like we don't get introduced to him until like halfway through the series. So then it's at that point where we go from this story of the tortured genius to it becoming an underdog sports story, and it's like the way that transition is done, the way the arcs are presented, like is really like it's masterfully done. Like there's no point in, from what I can tell, like for me at least, there was no point where my brain went, okay, we're done with this bit, now it's underdog sports story. Like they connect all the little pieces together, and all of that is true right up until the end, where the ending, like the way the series wraps up, starts bringing back plot points from the beginning of the series that had been forgotten for a long time, and starts to dovetail, like weave them back into the narrative, which was really great, because I really like this new style of show that they're doing, like the limited series run, where it's going to be 8 to 10 episodes. It's a self-contained story, and it might as well have just been a long film. It's kind of becoming my new favourite type of media, because long-running series, like imagine the Queen's Gambit was like a 8-season thing. Like 26 episodes, 8 seasons, every week. There will be the Chessman of the week. But we don't get that. Like it's this new, like it's one of the benefits of streaming media is that they can release an 8 episode thing that is basically intended to be binged in 1 or 2 sittings, so you're watching it as though it were a really long film, and I really dig it. Like so like if this was in a film format, I think there would be a lot that would be lost. Like you wouldn't get such a you wouldn't have time to have such sort of minor moments of fun in the show. Like, there's, like, obviously the best parts of the montages of chess, but like all the speed chess stuff, and like just exploring these different little side characters. Like in a film adaptation of this, I don't think like Harry Beltick's character, who's played by Harry Potter's cousin, I don't think that would. Like, I don't think we would get that subplot, but because it's a longer thing, like, we get to spend more time with these minor characters and flesh out their backstory, which gives you, it just ties you more closely into the characters, and like by the end of it, you're super invested in everything that's going on. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I really love the show. There are a few things in there that are kind of silly, and I think a lot of people would probably, if you're gonna criticize the show, I've heard people being like, well, it doesn't go into the mechanics of chess. The mechanics of chess weren't adhered to. Like, okay. And that's true. Okay? There's not a huge amount of move-by-move chess analysis in the show. There's not, like, but it's not about that, okay? It's not a documentary on how to play chess. It's just it's a sports film. It's just a sports film over a long run. Rocky is my favourite film of all time, and it has been for a long time. So when I say this is Rocky with chess, like, I don't mean that as a criticism. I know a lot of people like dunking on, Rocky and stuff for being this over-the-top underdog meme sports film, but it's really about using the framing device of a sport in order to explore a character. That's really all I mean by it's Rocky with chess. And that's what this is. But it does come with those underdog sports story tropes. Like, you're always going to have those in order to make the film or the story. Like, if you want to do an underdog sports story, you kind of have to play into those tropes. And some people are just not going to like them. Like, the stuff with the ending, it makes me laugh. Like, the ending makes me laugh, okay, because like it's a classic underdog sports story trope where the main character is in the final confrontation and they're down on their luck, but then some ally or some friend from along the way in their life like comes in clutch at the last minute and gives them the courage and the inspiration to fight through to the end and pull out the win against all odds. And in this show, obviously, big spoilers now for the ending of the Queen's Gambit. So be warned if you haven't watched it. So in the ending, Beth is like, she's down on her luck against Borgov. She doesn't know what to do, and then all of a sudden, the guy that she loved from the past, he comes back and he's like, Beth, you don't need to be a tranquilizer addict anymore. you can play chess without magic chess pieces. And she's like, yes, I think you're right. And then like you have the cheesy moment of like all of the friends she made along the way are like crowded into a house in like a flat in New York, and they're like on the phone to her in Russia, and they're like, Beth, it's me, Harry Beltick. I was a terrible chess champion. You beat me when you were like 15, and I now work in a supermarket, but I'm here to tell you how to defeat Borgov. That always cracks me up the most, because like we have a whole subplot of Beltic like giving up on chess as his dream, and he's like, I'll never be good enough, Beth, to play chess at a high level. And then it's him who he phones up and he's like, we figured it out, Beth. We got together overnight, and it's me, the guy who works in the supermarket, and it's Thomas Brody Sangster with his cowboy hat, and it's these stoner guys. We're here to tell you how to defeat the Russian chess android. And it just, like, it's funny, and I joke about it because it is really silly, but it also is really, like, it's well executed because of all the investment in these characters, and it does touch my heart. And it's just delightful. But like, you know, it's one of those things you just kind of have to accept. If you're going to be going into an underdog sports story, there's going to be these sort of cheesy schmaltzy moments, and it's okay. Like, you don't have to, like, people always like want to nitpick stuff and be like, it's not realistic and all that kind of stuff, but just let yourself enjoy it with something like this. It's okay. It's okay that the guy from the supermarket figured out the key to defeating the Russians at chess. Okay, that's really all I have to say about the Queen's Gambit. I just wanted to film this because it's been so long since I've done a video, and I know that, and it's been a hard year for everyone. It's been a hard year for me. It's been a hard year for probably everyone watching this. And I just wanted to do something to break the ice to get back into this stuff. I will be talking about books again at some point soon when I finish reading one. But, you know, I'm going to talk about other stuff too, like films, video games maybe, you know, TV shows, anything with story. It's plots and points, not books and points, so it's okay. So yeah, thanks for watching. And I will catch you when I catch you, hopefully not in 7 more months' time. So yeah, cheers for sticking around as long as you have, and bye for now.